and it's called Decidedly So. I had a dream early this morning, but not the normal dream. It was one of those dreams where you hear something but you're asleep and your brain makes up a dream to explain the sound. Like when the phone rings and you're asleep, so instead of a phone, you hear a fire alarm going off. You leap out of bed and slide down a fire pole and get in a fire truck. You race to the fire, and there you find people dying, screaming, burn victims everywhere. A mother drops her flaming infant from a 2-story window and then jumps herself, also on fire. You pick up a fire hose. Another fireman hooks up the other end to a hydrant, but he accidentally sets it to cake frosting. See, all fire hydrants have 3 settings: water, cake frosting, and Dr. Pepper. Gallons of cake frosting spatter out of the nozzle, but it only shoots about 8 feet. People are still dying, burning. Hair burned off, clothes burned off, skin falls from bones like charred hot dog meat. This is your fault. You're captain of this hose. When the inquest begins, they'll come to you for answers. Why couldn't you put out the fire? Don't you know the cake frosting setting is only for birthdays and weddings? You scream, water! Set it to water, turn it to the left, to the left. Then you think, wait, back up. Fire hydrants do not dispense cake frosting, nor Dr. Pepper. Therefore, this is a dream, and it's gone. The fire alarm is the phone on your nightstand. You fumble for it, knock everything on the floor, somehow come up with the receiver, but some part of you is still in the dream, so instead of hello, you mutter, no, not frosting, it's fire, I need water. It's your boss from work. He says, what? Look, where are you? It's 9:45. You hurry up and get dressed, but you've got to think up a cover story in case your boss asks you about what you said on the phone, like you're George Jetson, working some hilarious scam, and you have to have an excuse in case Mr. Spacely says, say, Jetson, what was that you said on the phone this morning about cake frosting and fire? You say, oh, that, I can explain that. See, I was fixing some bacon, and there was a grease fire, so I told my wife to quick and hand me something to put it out. There was some cake frosting there in the kitchen, and I guess she handed me that instead of a bucket of water. Water? Jetson, you don't put water on a grease fire, you dumb bastard. That makes it worse. And why were you answering the phone in the middle of a grease fire anyway? That's the kind of dream I had, the cover up the noise dream. But in this case, the noise was my own exhausted snoring, which my brain turned into a dream of a robot having sex with a dog I had when I was 11 years old. Her name was Brandy. The rhythmic rasp of the snoring became the mechanical whine of the robot's organs slowly pumping in and out of the dog. And in case you're wondering, the dog apparently didn't mind at all. So I'm in the yard of my childhood home with the robot having sex with my childhood pet. But what I find odd is not the robot and not the dog calmly allowing a machine to violate her. What tipped me off is that it was the wrong yard. It was our house in Phoenix, and we didn't get Brandy until we moved to Scottsdale 5 years later, so how could it be Brandy? This is the human brain. This is the apparatus that makes sense of the world for us. My brain hears snoring, and it says, oh, that, I can explain that. See, there's this robot. And if that's what happens when my brain doesn't understand what it's hearing, how can I trust it when it doesn't understand what's happening? Like yesterday, when my stupid boss gave me 3 days to do a week's worth of work. Of course, he said I'll have 5 days if I work Saturday and Sunday, so technically that's a full week, but did that really happen? I'll tell you what I think. Alternate realities. We all have alternate realities inside us. And when we dream, we see into other realities. Some are similar to our own, like when I'm dreaming about sitting on the couch eating Doritos. Other times it's a robot screwing a dog. In some other reality, that's normal. Right now, there's an alternate me saying, I had the weirdest dream. I went into this big building, and I sat in a chair staring at this little screen, and there was a thing with a button for each letter of the alphabet. So I sat there for hours pressing the buttons to make words. It was so freaky. I tried to leave, but they wouldn't let me. I had to stay there until it was all dark outside. And then they let me go. Is that weird or what? In my office, I have a magic 8-ball. You know, a little toy pool ball with a window in the bottom, and you ask it yes or no questions, and I keep it on my desk. When people come in and ask, can you help me for a minute? I just point at the ball. Whenever my boss comes in, the only thing keeping me from smashing the 8-ball on his head is that I already did it last night in another reality. He waddled in with a big pile of work, and he really is just like Mr. Spacely on the Jetsons, about 2 or 3 feet tall, with a little mustache, always upset. I take the 8-ball in both hands and bring it down on his skull as hard as I can. It's only plastic, but it's pretty hard, and it's spherical, which is the best shape for a blunt force weapon. It shatters, of course, comes completely apart, and you might be surprised to know that a magic 8-ball is not completely full of liquid. There's just a little cylinder of liquid, which makes sense. No need to fill up the whole ball. But in my dream, the ball is full of liquid, so Mr. Spacely is soaked with indigo magic 8-ball fluid. He staggers to the wall, leans there, checking his head with his fingertips. There's almost as much blood as 8-ball juice. I look around for the little polyhedron with the prophecies on it. I've never seen one outside a working magic 8-ball. I find it over by the bookshelf. When it was in the fluid, it had this ghostly purple color, but now that it's liberated, it's pure white. Looks like a 20-sided sugar cube. And it's landed on the answer, it is decidedly so. And that's the first thing it's got right.